there was the challenge to make a video for the biggest student organization in Europe to summarize an organization in 3 minutes. So I was like blown away. Okay, how do you summarize that, right?
This is the movement of the Erasmus Student Network. This is ESN.
I'm stuck. Scheiße. Welcome back, everybody, to the everyday madness of my life. Okay, it's running. So everybody, what do you think of my new haircut? I did it 2 days ago, myself. To the point, the people have spoken, everybody. That means today on Pet News, the story behind This is ESN. Okay, some of you might know the Erasmus Student Network. I think when you're watching it, then you know, you should. This is ESN basically started originally at the Comcom meeting early 2014. When I was getting into Comcom and doing like the ESN videos. The ESN house officially. Hello!
Hey! Oh my god, you're filming already! Awesome!
What's up?
Hey man,
how you doing?
How are you? Good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you.
Hey. Hi, I'm Thiago. Nice to meet you.
I'm definitely already on it. Arriving in the house.
Hello!
And the idea behind the hashtag This is ESN was that, like, what can we do that people use on social media to like put something out, like that you have one hashtag, for example, that summarizes all the different activities and aspects of the network. So during a brainstorming session, the idea came up, and I think 2 months later, there was the AGM Milano in 2014, where we started actually using it, and like people received it very well. It like people got used to it and like hashtagging like a lot with it. So the idea for the video, actually, for the like This is ESN video, came originally to make a video for the 25th anniversary, which was in October 2014. Like we sat down and said, okay, let's, instead of making, how can you say, like just a summary video or just a historical background video, let's make like a statement video. So it was I remember like talking with the IB at that time. The consensus was, okay, let's make it a statement and let the impact it has. The original idea for This is ESN was conceived, let's say, during Educate Trento in 2014. It was, I think, in August. In the mountains, there was just one house in the mountains, a bit like 15 minutes from Trento. So there was this training event, but I went there to film. Like I didn't participate in the training, but everybody was like so in the training event. It was such a cool situation to be with like 60 people somewhere in the mountains, one huge building, and like being there all day for a week. I can only recommend it, like everyone just to go check it out. It was a strange situation for me as a video guy, because I wasn't part of the trainers, I wasn't part of the participants, but I wasn't part of the OC in that sense. So like you have like the groups and me, and but still, of course, you hang out with everybody. But I had, like, how can I say, like the time and space to reflect, and I went into full philosophy mode. There was the moment I was sitting in the main hall, basically, where we had like lunch, dinner and breakfast. So I was sitting there and thinking and watching the volunteers preparing lunch, I think. So I watched those volunteers, how they, for example, you're just putting the glasses in, you know, like taking the plates and preparing the food, and one girl was swiping the floor, like she was with the broom and cleaning a bit, and it must have been the stupidest situation, but I asked her, I was in complete philosophy mode, right? I was like in a box, okay, like what is going on, you know, what is ESN, you know, like what's the essence of it, you know, what can you build it on? And then I asked her, what are you doing? Just a simple, what are you doing? And she was like, hey, what the f, like, I'm just cleaning here, no. Okay, why are you doing that? Of course, I was in philosophy mode, and she was like, yeah, because it's dirty, you know, like someone has to clean it. No, why are you here? Like with the Bane voice, of course, you know.
Why are you here?
And she said that, you know, someone has to clean it, blah, but then she said, yeah, because, you know, I'm part of the OC, and yeah, but why did you take the job? You know, why did you apply for it? Yeah, because like I was active in my section, volunteering. Yeah, I just wanted to see, you know, just if we can make it happen, you know, like just as a group activity. And then I went further and asked, okay, why do you volunteer? You know, like in the first place. She went abroad, loved it, and now wants to stay in touch and help the local students. So later on, I asked another person,
Why are you here?
and then the other person came up with the complete different motivation, basically. So like the first girl had, I think she went abroad, like saw how like the work, and then she wanted to do it as well. And then the other person had a complete different motivation. And then I asked a third person, you know, why are you doing that? You know, like what's the reason behind the work you're doing right here on the ground right now, in this, like cleaning the dishes, for example. You know, it's because motivational wise, you can break it down from the simplest activity of the thing you actually do to make it like big. And I was looking for this one thing, and what I found is that everyone I asked, and even until now, everyone has a different motivation and a different why. Again, that's like philosophy mode, right? I'm getting a bit deep maybe. Speaking of like philosophy, psychology wise, we are all growing up in different environments where we try to adjust, and like with the personalities we bring and like the experiences we make, each one of us has in that sense like a different like story and is unique based on all these characteristics of what you go through. So if you break that down, the process of trying to adjust and finding motivation is always the same. And that's basically where the first sentence comes from the video. Because normally you would say in ESN, for example, oh, we are all the same, we're all equal. But as a matter of fact, we are not in that sense. Because we all have different motivations, different stories we go through. That's how the video starts, when we say, like, we are not the same, we're different, all of us. Yet we are united in working for the same cause. When you see these people on the ground making like the little things everyone is doing, so each one of us has like a different motivation. The second line, more or less, of the video is, it may sound funny, but in this separation we are truly coming together. Which means that the moment you go abroad, for example, you're in a very unique situation at the very beginning, because you have your environment, your story, your world, you know, and the moment you get out of that, so you know how everything works here, you get out of this, so you leave your little world, but everyone from all the different countries, all the different situations is coming as well. In that new environment, there is no, you don't have the time, or like, how can you say, it's necessary to just be open for others, because you're in a complete new environment and you try to adjust to that new situation. But this process trying to adjust is the same for everybody. So in that moment, everyone leaves their baggage more or less behind, and you see the person as who they are, like as like just the character they bring with them, like just the person they are. That's the next line, basically. We forgot about those differences. We were curious for each other as who we are. And then in that moment, when you are there, because that's, I think, an amazing experience as well, like that's the process of becoming an open mind. The moment you go back home, you take that experience with you, and it can help you a lot to, how can you say, readjust and see the situations you have back home, and value your home situation a lot different, because you get an outside perspective on your experiences, your history, whatever. That's the next line, basically. This experience keeps us going. It keeps us motivated for a long time. That when you come back home, that's the story of the girl cleaning the floor, for example. She has that situation, she had that experience, she brings it with her. Now she's that underground subconscious thing is still motivating her. Then the video, basically the This is ESN video, takes a different turn, because that's the foundational level, that's basically the individual level, and then there was the challenge, how can you go from that individual motivational level towards the international level, like on the scale it has. So you have the individual local level where the people working with the exchange students, right? But because everything is connected, like everything, like from the local to the international, like it's all working for the same cause. The strength of ESN, the power behind ESN, is basically that the ability to reach people as a network, because you're all united into this one network. For example, when we're doing the research questionnaires, for example, if you got like 10, 15,000 responses, that's hard data that you like that influences the decisions of like the commission, for example, when they're thinking about Erasmus and the student side. So then the decision, for example, comes, okay, we're gonna keep it running, like the Horizon 2020 is coming, what are we doing the next 7 years, for example? And then those decisions, when we say, okay, yes, it's not only affecting us, but it affects millions of people and lives in the next years to come and in the Erasmus generations to come. I found it quite interesting to see how the local work of the individuals like add up to international scale influencing. So, and that's basically the climax of this is ESN, and then it goes down again because I had to make the link because it's not just the international level, it's from the international to the local level. Everything is connected, and the big decisions make change possible. But what brings the actual change is the smallest acts of students helping students, of the local students on location, like cleaning the floor, putting up the dishes on the table, getting out there, inviting people to events, making a pub crawl, like helping them to find an apartment, setting up a buddy system. And because that's when the people, like the exchange students, get into the situation like that I explained earlier of where you have to be open and readjust into the new situation. That's what we work for. That's getting people together, that this process of readjusting into a new world helps and gets better. That's the ground idea of students helping students. What I like a lot is at the end, like it was Lario's scene where he gives a hug and then the voiceover says, this is the movement of the Erasmus Student Network. This is ESN. When Lario gives the hug, basically that's for me as well, like the movement, the power it has. Think about it in the sense that within that network there are over 500 different sections, so like all across Europe there are different people without like really thinking about it, like doing the same thing at the same time every single day. Like this is ESN, when you look up the hashtag, like you always still see pictures popping up of like, here's one event, you know, like welcome days, meeting with the section, meeting this stuff and here, and the students helping students part, bringing people together is, I think, like an aspect that maybe gets overlooked in the midst of the work, and that's what we should never forget in that sense. Remember that like all of us are still volunteers, like no one is like doing it professionally, and I know it can get hard sometimes when you're in a section of responsibilities. You didn't do that, you were supposed to do that as well. Like the same, how can I say, goodness, like good experience you want to create for the exchange students. Remember to do that as well in your section and back home, because we're all like volunteers, we're all trying to help one another, like learn. It's a whole learning experience, and I mean, without ESN I wouldn't be where I am as a video maker, hands down. Like that's basically how I started my career. I mean, maybe as a last word, just like never forget that part, you know, when like why did you start and like what keeps you going in that sense. So yeah, that's all for me. Next week is going to be the 5 lessons I've learned from the past year reading 40 books about filmmaking and different topics instead of going into an individual book. Yeah, and again, like thanks for the feedbacks. Monica, I bought the book, like I think Growth Hacking you suggested, and Jan, I hope I answered the question about like the hero with 1,000 faces. And yeah, everybody else, just comment on what you think. What's ESN, for example, for you? What does it stand for? Like, what's your best experience? Like, make a comment below, or like just let me know. Write me a message. I would love to hear more stories of you know what's happening everywhere. And I mean, otherwise this year, if there are some events coming up, I'm still looking for how can I say, new chances to get a bit involved again and travel and film stuff. So shoot me a message when it comes to that. And yeah, I hope it gave a good insight of, how can you say, like the thought process that went into This is ESN. That's enough for me. I'm out.